Listen, I try to be positive, and I don't want to spread negativity. But this is my first and last stay in somebody else's house with this whole Airbnb system because this couple is so loud. I mean, by no means am I going to involve myself because I don't really think none of this is my business. But this, I really don't know what's going on here. And I'm not here to find out. So, we're gonna explore Ulaanbaatar today. Hiya, I'm DailyK, and we're out in Ulaanbaatar. You know, it's just walks like these that just highlight how far I've come. I mean, I've graduated high school, I'm going to a nice university, I've had jobs, and now I'm going away from home. It makes me think, wow, look at all I've done. I guess you could say the same for the national monuments around here too. This is Suk Batar Square, one of Ulaanbaatar's central squares, and is full of history. I actually think that the government palace isn't too far from here, with the kind of administration sort of stuff. There's also this nice statue of Genghis Khan. You know, that famous Mongol empire, we're all gonna die, that leader. I wanted to take a moment and talk about something that I actually don't talk about a lot, even though it is kind of what I do. So, art. Yes, I do animation, as we can clearly see, but I'm just talking about, like, digital art, not like animation, like. But to have this full conversation, we gotta roll the clock back, like, a lot.
I'll do it over, no matter how many times it takes.
Since I was a kid, I always had some interest in doing art. Just drawing people. Not much more else to say about that one. I was just drawing a little bit on and off in elementary school, and then I got to middle school. And then again, for non-Americans, middle school is just a type of public schooling between elementary and high school. So America just takes parts of primary and secondary school and we just put them in its own school. But what you need to know is that middle school is where dreams go to die. Really is not an exaggeration. So at my middle school, we only had one, well, I guess I can't say one art class, but like we only had one art classroom just taught by one teacher. And I was so excited when I finally got in 7th grade because we could not pick our electives. I guess I rolled the dice, I got art. I was literally so excited because I was gonna draw all kinds of things, and if I drew well enough, I could hopefully get into the very special invite-only honors art class. That was the goal. That was the goal since I came right into middle school. And this was my one and only chance, really, I had to prove it, because I had no idea when I was going to get this class again. It could be another year, or never. Turned out to be never, but still. Now we are in front of Gandon Teg Chinlen Monastery, or also known as Gandon Monastery. So, know that Mongolia is a very Buddhist country, but for a good chunk of Mongolia's communist history, Mongolia, like the Soviet Union, followed the whole mindset, or at least I should say the Mongolian government, followed the mindset of just anti-religion, because that was a big thing that was associated with communism. You even see that in the modern day. Communism was not a big fan of religion at all. So lots of Buddhist monasteries and other just religious artifacts in Mongolia were destroyed outright. This is one of, if a Buddhist monastery that didn't get destroyed in that time period. And here it is today. It did its best to keep the religion alive, and it's doing a great job. Actually, in Tibetan, the name of the monastery means complete rejoicing. So I tried my best to in my art class. The issue I had in the art class was just the time to finish the pieces. I mean, I don't know what really was going on with me. I just really wasn't the fastest artist at the time, because this was kind of my first experience painting in like years. So that caused me a lot of stress about the class. And I remember this one moment very distinctively. So we were painting that one famous Campbell soup can by like, I think Andy Warhol, right? And so we spent time sketching it out together as a class before we were given our own independent time to paint. I didn't finish it. So when we got the art piece back, my comment on it literally said, "Why so unfinished?" So I was very, very politely humbled. But that's putting it very lightly. So, that got me thinking to myself, like, could I really make a career out of this? Because I really don't think this is the best idea for me. And I guess I kind of took that and ran with it. because I decided I'm just gonna stop doing art entirely, because what's really the point at this point? So I just stopped doing art. But let's focus on the positive. Shopping spree! This is the Ulaanbaatar department store. And I'm just saying, when you know a mall is called a department store, it's gonna be amazing. That was quite impactful on my wallet. So, I would say maybe give it about 6 months maybe. And now I'm in 8th grade. And I had technology class. And so my teacher did a fair bit of lecturing. So while he would lecture, I would just, draw a bit in my sketchbook. And so that was the first sketch I did in my sketchbook. And that's when I kind of realized, hey, this is actually kind of fun. So I continued and continued and continued. And it also probably didn't help that I was watching a lot of other storytime animators at this time. Like a lot of the big ones. So I felt very motivated. So motivated that for Christmas of... When was that? Yeah, that was for Christmas of 2019. I asked my parents for a drawing tablet. And I got the XP Pen Artist 12 Pro. And I still have it. And once I got it, I drew even more and more. And here's some more. And then of course came the OCs. And yeah, it was just a lot of drawing. But also be mindful. So that was December 2019. So what happens right after that? Well, I guess not right after, but like a few months later, you got COVID. So I'm stuck home now. 8th grade was canceled. That's a whole other story in and of itself. But that provided me a lot of time to do a lot more drawings. So, I mean, it was a terrible time, but I filled the time somehow. I drew more and more. You can probably see that like a lot of my drawings are based around just people, different kinds of people. And this was probably like the greatest amount of growth I had as an artist because I was doing so much art. And also I was a beginner. There's just a lot more stuff to kind of try and improve. I was working on a lot of anatomy and proportions at the start. And then I kind of branched on to a little bit more shading. And I guess now I would say I'm kind of focusing more on like poses and like how to make characters kind of look a little bit different, but still making them look like relatively accurate people. So by the time I finished my 9th grade year, I got an art style that I relatively have that kind of matches up with what I do now. It's sort of like, not to sound nerdy, but like the natural log graph in math, how it kind of flattens out at the top after such great amounts of growth with the rate of change. It's at this point where it's kind of like, now I'm kind of in the territory of where it's getting a little more difficult to try and improve my stuff, both because that I don't spend as much time on art anymore because I just got busier with both, this channel, doing stuff, and then also with high school and just life in general. So I don't have that extent of free time anymore. But how to get your shading to shade and also using different mediums of shading, that's a different conversation. So I just got busier and busier, and so I started drawing less. And nowadays, I do very few art pieces now. Yeah, I've probably done like 5 or less actual art pieces since January of, what year is it? 2024, yeah. I don't do much art nowadays. Lately for me, the most major minor thing that I've done about my art style is that I've changed how I draw noses. Where I use this line to mark where the noses are, I changed it. Look at this grand change. Actually, you've probably noticed now that I don't draw fingers, right? Or at least I try not to, because I may have done that on accident. I've caught that several times and I'm like, ooh, oh wow, that's really something. So, back when I started my channel, that was like late 2020, but I could not draw fingers or hands to save my life. And now I can draw them. But I kind of stick with the mittens, you could say, because it's just easier to animate. And like doing these kinds of videos, especially factoring in background time and all this other stuff that I all do on my own, it's like, kind of saves me some time to not draw fingers. But maybe one day in the future, or maybe not. Probably not, but it's a possibility. Nowadays, I'm less focused on improving my art and kind of just trying to see what can I use it for. Not just for animations like this, but I'm also experimenting with a few other things. Here's just a progression of my art, You can see a little bit of the changes over time, and I guess you can kind of see like where we ended up to where I am about right now. One last note to add, the biggest struggle I've had with how I do art in general is figuring out which art style I need to do and which occasion that warrants it. So, there have been plenty of times where I'm animating, where I'm drawing fingers, I'm making the eyes a little bit smaller, I'm using thinner lines, and then I have to go, oh, this is not a drawing, this is an animation. I gotta switch all this back, because I want to try and keep a consistent animation style on this channel. And there are some times where I'm doing drawings, where I'm not drawing fingers, and I have to go, uh-oh, why does this look so weird? Oh man, I need to do these fingers, I can't do mittens. I guess I need to make my departure, because when I get back to the Airbnb, I'm going to go right to bed.
Devastating cyclone has impacted the Maldives Island. Southeast 350 people have died so far. Coming up next, Ulaanbaatar